It's your bear here, and I've been playing Horizon Forbidden West. I really do love it. I do. The gameplay is great, the visuals are stunning, well, at least most of the time, and there is a huge list of quality of life improvements over Zero Dawn. I'm going to be talking about a few of the more disappointing launch issues at the start of the video, and then move on to some of the improvements that make Forbidden West absolutely great. Obviously, there will be some spoilers ahead. I'm only including footage of the first 5 or so hours of my first playthrough, but I will be alluding to events and mechanics from much later on in the game. Anyway, right out of the gate, Day 1 players noticed some visual and gameplay glitches in Forbidden West. While none of them were truly game-breaking, a lot of them definitely ruined immersion for players. While playing on a PS5, I encountered brightness flashing issues, items and textures popping in during gameplay, as well as some weird lighting issues when moving around in certain areas. Some of these are really bad, so bad that even Aloy noticed them during cutscenes. Aside from some glitches being hilarious, the devs seem to be really listening to player feedback and are tracking issues on both Reddit and Twitter from what I've seen. To that end, they've already released bug fixes for a couple of these issues, so kudos to Guerrilla Games for being active and responsive in the gaming community. Alright, bad news out of the way, there is a lot to be excited about with this game. Most of the more frustrating storytelling techniques of Zero Dawn have been left behind for better pacing and less repetitive story beats. Where the first game would sometimes fall into its own plot holes and have to dig itself out with dumps of exposition, Forbidden West has found a way to tell its core story without feeling weighed down. Forbidden West lets you know the stakes right away and does a good job explaining why the situation is so personal for Aloy this time around. Instead of feeling like a lost child of the Nora as she did throughout Zero Dawn, Aloy now feels like a confident woman out to finish a job and settle a score. Aloy was very much an outsider in Zero Dawn, and that sentiment carried over throughout the game's entire plot. Forbidden West is 100% Aloy's story, but it doesn't mean that she's alone. The other characters add to the story, and they legitimately have a place in her quest as Aloy makes her way through the titular Forbidden West. It becomes apparent pretty early on that Aloy needs to learn that she can rely on others as much as they have come to rely on her. As the story progresses, many of the characters get to share a lot of fantastic moments in the story, and because of that, I found myself legitimately caring for a majority of the supporting cast. This was partially due to how much better Forbidden West story is being told, but also has to do a lot with the incredible performances going on behind the scenes. The main cast is stacked with notable actors. Lance Reddick, Carrie-Anne Moss, and Angela Bassett are definitely the most well-known of the cast, but everyone in the main cast does an amazing job portraying their characters. These performances really help to develop the world around Aloy, and the supporting cast really feels like an integral part of the story this time around. In Outcast No More, Aloy's companions are a pleasant change compared to the isolated story being told throughout Zero Dawn. Based on the trailers for Forbidden West, I was really hoping for the type of freedom players get to experience in games like Breath of the Wild. The Shieldwing glider really reminds me of the paraglider from Breath of the Wild. It works pretty seamlessly in and out of battle, but one thing I really missed was being able to glide to a rock wall and just start climbing up it. And while there is a lot of freedom on where to go and what to do in Forbidden West, the restrictions placed on what a player can climb I found to be really frustrating. Like in Zero Dawn, there are predetermined handholds for climbing in the game's numerous climbing sections. Guerrilla tried to give more options this time around, and they did succeed there. However, it still feels restrictive when you come to a cliff face that has no way to climb. The developers also tried to hide climbing environments under Forbidden West's amazing visuals. It does help to keep the scenery looking gorgeous, but ultimately leads to some odd dead ends while climbing, or easily miss next steps as you are limited on where you can climb. The developers made Aloy out to be the world's foremost free climber, but then made her unable to scale obviously climbable surfaces. It's really strange. With all that said, one of the best improvements to the climbing sections is the new Pullcaster grappling gun. This is the first item you get in the game, and honestly it is great for climbing. Aside from being an item that you will use over and over, it actually is a lot of fun and adds an interesting dynamic to the climbing sections. It also comes in handy during the game's puzzle sections, and I must admit, the puzzles are a good addition to Forbidden West. A lot of them are optional and aren't as obvious as the puzzles from other modern games, so they offer a good amount of challenge and I don't feel forced into having to complete them. And that's another area that's vastly improved over Zero Dawn, the side quest. In Zero Dawn, side quests always felt very repetitive, as you did the same handful of tasks over and over, and they had very little impact on the main story of the game. But in Forbidden West, side quests are not only much more varied and interesting, but many of the side quests are actually woven into the main story. This helps the side quest feel like a part of the game, rather than just some Easter egg hunt someone decided to tack on at the last second. The side quests really help to enrich the overall experience and make the player feel like they have an impact on the world around them. Speaking of great new features, there are loads of new options and tweaks that would be a great addition to many other modern games. For example, instead of just selecting from pre-selected difficulties, Forbidden West allows you to customize the difficulty. This affects everything from how you scavenge items off busted machines to auto-healing. Another great new option is the ability to control how much time slows down when changing weapons or crafting items. This feature is clutch for those players who want a little more time to craft arrows or pick a weapon when battling a cluster of robot dinos. Another setting I highly recommend toggling from the default is the tinnitus sound setting. Your ears will thank me later. There are loads of other options which will help customize the game to fit almost any playstyle. Another area that's been greatly improved compared to the first game is mounts. This time around, you start off with the ability to tame some of the lower level machines from the first game. This helps a lot in trekking from point A to point B early on in the game. Mounts this time around feel more substantial. In Zero Dawn, Aloy would get thrown from a mount whenever she grazed a nearby enemy, but this time around, you have to take a really direct hit to be thrown from your mount, and usually you won't be. It's a big improvement. You're also able to pick up items while riding, something I desperately wanted in the first game. And there's a larger variety of mounts overall, especially at the end game. I won't go into too much detail here, but if you follow the main quest, you'll get to it eventually. Speaking of items, Forbidden West has had a major upgrade in how players handle managing their inventory, and this has made me so very happy. Saying the inventory system in Zero Dawn was a little bit clunky would be an understatement. Forbidden West makes massive improvements not only in how much of an item a player can hold, but also in how you keep track of the various items you need for upgrading weapons and armor, both of which are very welcome changes in my opinion. Filling your inventory can be a bit tiring sometimes. You spend a lot of time in Forbidden West picking up everything you can get your hands on. I really miss games like Metal Gear Solid 5, which allowed the player to easily pick up items while moving at full sprint. In Forbidden West, it feels like you have to line up to an item, kind of stop, before you can actually pick it up. The gameplay of Forbidden West can be what you want it to be. Tactical stealth robot assassin, hack and slash mecha fighter, fast-paced shooter. It checks all the boxes. The battles in Forbidden West are stunning. Some of the run-of-the-mill encounters in this game could easily overshadow grandiose cinematic battles in other recent games. As Aloy levels up, her goodie bag of skills and gadgets grows with her. By the time you reach the mid-game, Aloy will already be an unstoppable juggernaut, ready to face down an army, be they human, mecha dino, or both. There is a cliche one-liner in the opening few minutes about how Aloy lost all of her gear in a battle between the events of the first and second game. I get why they do it, but after that, the game opens up pretty quickly as Aloy regains much of the kit she needs to be her true badass self. Overall, Horizon Forbidden West is a triumph. There are some technical glitches which seem to plague most open world games these days, as well as room for some quality of life improvements which would help the flow of gameplay, but overall, Forbidden West more than makes up for those deficits. This game is a masterclass in visual design, storytelling, combat, and world building. Forbidden West feels like one of the most fleshed out and beautiful worlds I've visited in any recent game, show, or movie. If you're a fan of the original, you'll love Forbidden West. And if you're a fan of open world action adventures, I would say Horizon 2's extensive skill tree and option customizations should definitely pique your interest. And if you're just looking to blow up some giant robot dinosaurs in grand cinematic battles, well then, go buy this game already. Let me know in the comments if you think I missed anything major in this review, or if there's another game you would like me to review. Also, press all the YouTube buttons, like, subscribe, etc. Even the one that says do not press. It really helps me out. Seriously, they won't feed me unless I get a certain number of likes on these videos, and I'm a very hungry bear. Oh, and thanks for watching.